Almighty God, who in thy infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of rulers and councils for the welfare of society and the just government of man, we beseech thee to behold with thy abundant favor us thy servant whom thou hast been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in the Commonwealth of Dominica. Let thy blessing descend upon us here in this Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in thy presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote thy honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests thou hast committed to our charge, all which we ask in the name and for the sake of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen? Amen.
Suspension of standing orders.
Mr. Speaker, I move that standing orders 16, 17, 28, 29, and 32, as they relate to the arrangement of business, contents of business, notice of motion, form of notice, and dispensing of notice, are suspended.
Seconded, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I wish, pursuant to orders, standing orders 16, 17, and 32, to move the motion that the order of business of this meeting be varied to provide for two bills to be inserted under item 11, which is government notices, as sub-item 2 and 3, shortly entitled House of Assembly Amendment Act 2026 and Registration of Electors Amendment Act 2026, and also to insert under item 13, which is public business, government business motions, item number 4, and that these sub-items shall both, and that these sub-items 2 and 3 shall both form part of the order paper, and as a consequence, the items on the order paper be renumbered accordingly.
Mr. Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that item 9 sub-item shall now, item 1 and 2, shortly entitled House Assembly Amendment Act 2026 and Registration Election Act 2026, be inserted under item 13, which is public business, government business, and motion, which would now create a sub-item Roman numeral number 4. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it.
Adoption of the order paper.
Mr. Speaker.
Your mic.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the order paper be adopted as amended.
Mr. Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that the order paper be amended. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to move that the order paper be amended by adding under government business. I wish to move that the order paper be amended as follows. 1. By adding under government business the Registration of Electors Amendment Bill 2026 and the House of Assembly Elections Amendment Bill 2026 for introduction, second reading, and third reading. 2. By providing for debate on those bills to be taken immediately after the response of the Leader of the Opposition on the bill shortly entitled the 2026-2027 Appropriation Act 2026. 3. By deferring debate on the said appropriation bill until proceedings on those bills are concluded. And 4. By providing for debate on the said appropriation bill to resume immediately thereafter. I therefore seek your consent, Mr. Speaker, and the assent of this Honourable House to dispense with the required notice pursuant to Standing Order 32.
Mr. Speaker.
Pursuant to Standing Order 32, it has been moved and seconded that the House Assembly Amendment Act 2026 and the Registration of Electors Act 2026 form part of the order paper, and that the debate on that matter will continue after the presentation of the opposition leader response to the budget. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. Just to read 32, just for the information of the entire House. Standing Order 32 says, where a motion or any other proceeding of the House is one that requires notice, such notice may be dispensed with exception with the consent of the Speaker and the assent of the majority members of the present at the time. That is dispensing with notice. Just for the information of this Honourable House, I met with the opposition leader, Honourable Jesma Paul, and Honourable Charles, member for Marigot, the Attorney General, and the Honourable Prime Minister this morning to discuss the whole process of bringing this most critical and urgent bill. But we wanted to go through the process because it wasn't usual that while we are trying to debate the budget itself, we'd have some critical matter to bring in, which was a request by the Electoral Commission and not a request by either the government side or the opposition side. But as the Speaker, I had to allow it because it's a matter of national importance and a matter of legal importance to ensure without doubt that we go through the actual proper process of the electoral bills, and also to ensure that the by-election happens without any dispute and debate. So we wanted to clear that hurdle, the legal hurdle. Okay, thank you, members. We may proceed.
Mr. Speaker, it occurs to me that whilst we have gone through this, those listening outside of the chamber, and maybe even some in the chamber, may not have an understanding of the genesis and the reason for it.
Yes.
So I think it may be useful just to very briefly inform that the amendments that have just been added to the order paper, the amendments to the House of Assembly Elections Act, as has been indicated, and the Registration of Electors Act, that the Electoral Commission has determined are necessary in light of the fact that a by-election has occurred or is about to occur during the period of confirmation and was not actually contemplated by the legislation as drafted. So what may happen if this is not passed is that some people who may be confirmed, if perchance they haven't yet got a voter identification card by the time the election day comes, would be possibly prevented because the legislation as currently drafted doesn't allow for people in that category to be able to vote without a voter identification card. Similarly, people who are on the register but have not yet confirmed are legally entitled to vote. They obviously would not have a voter identification card because they have not yet confirmed. And also, those who would have registered between the period after the last supplementary and the point at which the writ is issued would similarly be in that category. So the Electoral Commission has determined that there needs to be an amendment to provide, similarly as is generally going to be provided by or is provided by the legislation, to provide an alternative means for people to be able to present perhaps a passport or a driver's license and one other identifying document, people who fall within that category. So that's essentially, I've obviously summarized it, but that's essentially what the amendments are seeking to address. Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the suspension of Rule 41(6) so that the leader of the opposition gets the same amount of time to respond to the Minister of Finance budget address. That is the same time he needs equal time, and that the Prime Minister will be allotted 2 hours, ministers 1 hour, and other members 30 minutes as provided for in the rules, Mr. Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that in accordance with Standing Order 46(1), the suspension of that standing order to allow for the Leader of Opposition to receive the same time as the Minister of Finance, and that the Prime Minister be given 2 hours, ministers be given 1 hour, and other members be given 30 minutes. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. According to my record, the Minister of Finance spoke for 2 hours, 5 minutes. No seconds. So, Honorable Leader of Opposition, you are given the same time. Yes, you may proceed. Yes. Your mic.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today on behalf of the parliamentary opposition and, more importantly, on behalf of thousands of Dominicans who look to this honorable House not merely for speeches, but for answers, not merely for promises, but for progress, not merely for visions of tomorrow, but for relief from the realities they confront today. At the outset, I extend my appreciation to the Honorable Minister for the comprehensive budget statement presented to this House. It is evident that considerable thought has gone into articulating a long-term vision for our country. We welcome every sincere effort. We welcome every sincere effort to advance Dominica's development, strengthen our economy, improve public services, and expand opportunities for our people. Mr. Speaker, let me state clearly from the very beginning that patriotism does not belong to one political party. The desire for a stronger economy, better schools, modern hospitals, resilient infrastructure, affordable electricity, thriving businesses, and secure jobs is shared by every Dominican, regardless of political affiliation. Mr. Speaker, when roads are built, our people benefit. When schools improve, our children benefit. When healthcare expands, every family benefits. When farmers prosper, the nation prospers. Mr. Speaker, no member on this side of the House is opposed to genuine development. We support every investment that improves the lives of the Dominican people and strengthens our nation's future. But, Mr. Speaker, our constitutional responsibility is not to applaud government for announcing projects. Our responsibility is to determine whether those projects are being delivered efficiently, transparently, on time, within budget, and in the best interest of the people who pay for them. Mr. Speaker, this is the essence of parliamentary democracy. The duty of an opposition is not to oppose for opposition's sake. Our duty is to ask the questions that ordinary citizens would ask if they occupied these benches. That is precisely what we intend to do. But, Mr. Speaker, every budget must be judged against three simple questions. Firstly, are the people better off today than they were yesterday? Has government delivered what it promised last year? Thirdly, does this budget provide a realistic pathway to greater prosperity for every Dominican? These are the standards against which we shall assess these budgets. Mr. Speaker, the Minister has presented an ambitious vision of a transformed Dominica, an international airport, geothermal energy, a world-class marina, resilient housing, modern roads, a cruise village, expanded opportunities for agriculture, a creative economy, digital government, and a renewed engagement with our diaspora. Many of these are worthy initiatives that deserve national support. But, Mr. Speaker, there is an important distinction between announcing a vision and delivering results. Mr. Speaker, governments are elected not simply to inspire hope, but to convert hope into measurable progress. Budgets are not just judged by the eloquence or flatness of minister's speech. They are judged by whether the promises made in this chamber becomes realities in the communities of Portsmouth, in Grand Bay, in Marigot, Wesley, Castle Bruce, Roseau, Soufriere, Salisbury, and every village in between. That is why, before examining the promises of the 2026-2027 budget, we must first ask a fundamental question. What became of the promises made in 2025 budget? Last year, this House heard commitments regarding infrastructure, housing, agriculture, tourism, education, healthcare, public sector modernization, and economic growth. Today, Mr. Speaker, the Dominican people deserve more than another catalogue of future intentions. They deserve a report card. How many commitments were completed? How many remain behind schedule? How many exceeded their budgets? How many have delivered the outcomes originally promised? Governments, like students, should not receive new assignments until they have accounted for the last ones. Mr. Speaker, there is often a considerable distance between macroeconomic indicators and the lived experience of ordinary citizens. An economy may grow while families struggle. Investments may increase while wages stagnate. Public expenditure may rise while household purchasing power declines. The measure of national success is not only the number of millions appropriated in this budget. It is whether parents can afford school supplies, whether young graduates can find meaningful employment, whether farmers receive fair returns, whether small businesses survive, whether pensioners can meet the rising cost of food and medicine, whether young families believe their future lies in Dominica rather than overseas. These are the questions, Mr. Speaker, that matter. Mr. Speaker, fairness requires what we acknowledge achievements where they exist. The continued construction of the international airport represents one of the most ambitious infrastructure investments in our nation's history. According to the budget statements, substantial progress has been made on earthworks, the runway, and associated facilities, with completion targeted for the second quarter of 2028. The progress made towards geothermal energy is also significant. The minister reported that renewable resources supplied a substantial share of electricity in June of 2026, and that the geothermal plant is approaching commercial operation after reliability testing. If these projects deliver the outcomes promised, lower energy costs, improved connectivity, and expanded economic opportunity, they will benefit generations of Dominicans. No responsible opposition should deny that. But acknowledging achievements does not relieve government of its obligation to answer legitimate questions concerning cost, financing, procurement, long-term sustainability, and measurable returns. Support for development must never require silence about accountability. The cost of living remains the people's greatest concern. Mr. Speaker, while government understandably celebrates major capital projects, ordinary Dominicans continue to ask simpler questions. Why is life becoming so expensive? Families measure the economic differently. They measure it at the supermarket, at the gas station, at the pharmacy, when they pay rent, when they purchase school uniforms, when they receive electricity bills, when they attempt to save for the future. Mr. Speaker, no budget can be considered successful if impressive infrastructure exists alongside increasing economic insecurity within households. The Honorable Minister of Finance boasts about economic growth of 4.5% last year, which exceeded the global average of 3.5% and the regional average of 3%. But was this growth only visible in concrete? It must be visible in kitchens, in pay packets, in business incomes, in opportunities for young people. Mr. Speaker, this budget comes at a pivotal moment in our national development. International economic conditions remain uncertain. Climate change continues to threaten small island states. Global investment patterns are shifting. International scrutiny of citizen by investment programs continues to evolve, as the minister himself acknowledged. These realities require prudence rather than complacency. They require diversification rather than dependence. They require institutions that command confidence at home and abroad. Some may expect today's debate to become an exchange of slogans. We reject that approach. The people of Dominica deserve something better. They deserve an opposition prepared not merely to criticize, but to contribute. Not merely to identify weaknesses, but to propose solutions. Not merely to point out risks, but to offer alternatives. That is the spirit in which we participate in today. Where government has succeeded, we shall acknowledge it. Where government has fallen short, we shall say so respectfully but firmly. Where government's proposals deserve improvement, we shall offer constructive recommendations, because that is our constitutional duty. Mr. Speaker, the minister has invited the nation to imagine a new look Dominica. We share that aspiration. But a new look Dominica cannot be built upon announcements alone. It must be built on accountability. It must be built upon transparency. It must be built upon productivity. It must be built upon confidence in our democratic institutions. It must be built upon opportunities that reach every village and every household. Above all, Mr. Speaker, it must be built upon trust between government and the governed. That trust is strengthened when governments report honestly on what has been achieved, what remains unfinished, what has changed, and why. Accordingly, Mr. Speaker, the central message of this budget reply is simple. Promises must become performance. Every dollar appropriated by this Parliament must produce measurable value. Every project must demonstrate tangible benefits. Every promise must ultimately be judged by results. Mr. Speaker, with that guiding principle before us, I now turn to broader issues affecting Dominica's place in the international community, the future of the Citizen by Investment Program, and the economic risks that confront our nation as we chart our course towards sustainable development. Mr. Speaker, having addressed the broad vision presented by the Honorable Minister, I now turn to what lies at the heart of every budget, the condition of the economy and the management of the public finances. Budgets are, first and foremost, economic documents. They tell us how government intends to raise revenue, allocate resources, stimulate growth, and improve the lives of its citizens. The question before this House is therefore straightforward. Is the Dominican economy becoming stronger? The minister answers that question with confidence. The opposition also believes that there are encouraging signs. Economic activity has expanded. Construction remains robust. Investment continues at an unprecedented scale. Tourism is picking up. Agriculture is rebounding. These developments deserve recognition. But, Mr. Speaker, economic analysis must never stop at the headline figures. Our responsibility is to ask a second question. Has economic growth improved the daily lives of our Dominican people? That is the true measure of economic success. Mr. Speaker, governments understandably celebrate growth rates. Economics analyze fiscal balances. Financial institutions monitor debt ratios. These indicators are important, but ordinary citizens measure the economy differently. They ask, can I provide for my family? Can I afford to buy my groceries? Can I pay my rent or my mortgage? Can I meet my electricity and water bills? Can my children find meaningful employment after completing their education? Can I operate a profitable business? Can I save for retirement? These are the questions that define economic well-being. If economic growth does not improve these realities, then it remains incomplete. Growth must be reflected not only in national accounts, but also in household budgets. Mr. Speaker, the budget statement points to continued economic expansion supported by major public investments and improved performance across several productive sectors. We welcome that progress. Indeed, every Dominican should celebrate when the national economy grows. However, growth alone is not sufficient. The quality of growth matters. Is that growth creating permanent employment? Is it strengthening private enterprise? Is productivity increasing? Are wages keeping pace with the rising cost of living? Are opportunities expanding outside the construction sector? These are the questions that determine whether today's growth becomes tomorrow's prosperity. Mr. Speaker, no issue dominates conversations in homes and communities more than the rising cost of living. While macroeconomic indicators may point upward, many families continue to struggle with the cost of essential goods and services, food, housing, transportation, utilities, healthcare, education. These are not optional expenses, they are necessities. Government has taken steps to cushion households through targeted tax and duty concessions on selected essential goods. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the hardworking people of Dominica who want to do more with their money, I want to thank the government for the 10% flat tax on incomes, the removal of compounding in the calculation of taxes on imported goods, and the extension of the VAT relief. I think the minister said until September. I think we should make that December. Those measures provide welcome relief, but relief alone, Mr. Speaker, cannot become permanent policies. Our long-term objective must be to increase household purchasing power by raising productivity, supporting higher incomes, and reducing the structural cost of doing business in Dominica. That is the sustainable path towards improving living standards. Mr. Speaker, employment is the bridge between economic growth and social progress. When people have stable employment, families become more secure. Businesses expand, communities thrive, government revenues increase. Construction activity has generated a significant employment opportunity over recent years. That contribution should be acknowledged. The question before us, however, is what happens after construction ends? When the airport is completed, when the geothermal plant is fully operational, when the marina opens, when major road projects conclude, will sufficient permanent employment exist to absorb the skilled workers who have contributed to these national projects? The opposition believes that every major infrastructure investment should be accompanied by a clearly articulated employment transition strategy. Construction must lead to commerce. Commerce must lead to enterprise. Enterprise must lead to permanent jobs. That is how investment becomes lasting prosperity. Mr. Speaker, a resilient economy rests upon strong productive sectors: agriculture, tourism, manufacturing, professional services, digital industry, creative enterprise, financial services. The budget outlines initiatives across many of these sectors, and we welcome these commitments. However, we urge government to place greater emphasis on productivity. Our farmers require improved irrigation, technology, research, storage facilities, and reliable access to markets. Our tourism operators require stronger air connectivity, enhanced marketing, and support for community-based tourism. Our small businesses require easier access to affordable finance, reduced administrative burdens, and faster public services. Our young entrepreneurs require opportunities to innovate and compete. Economic diversification cannot remain an aspiration. It must become national policy. Mr. Speaker, responsible public finance extends beyond balancing annual budgets. It requires ensuring that every dollar spent produces measurable public value. It requires transparent procurement, effective project management, strong financial oversight, regular reporting to Parliament, independent auditing, and timely publication to public accounts. The Dominican taxpayer has every right to expect that public resources are managed efficiently and transparently. Confidence in government finances is strengthened not only by positive fiscal outcomes, but by confidence in the systems that produce those outcomes. Mr. Speaker, governments can build roads, governments can construct ports, governments can invest in hospitals and schools, but governments alone cannot create a dynamic economy. Lasting prosperity requires confident private investors, entrepreneurs willing to take risks, manufacturers expanding production, farmers increasing output, technology firms creating new services, young professionals establishing businesses. The role of the government is to create the environment in which these investments flourish. Stable policies, efficient institutions, reliable infrastructure, affordable energy, predictable regulation, access to finance. These are the conditions that attract investment and create opportunity. Mr. Speaker, the global economy is changing rapidly. Artificial intelligence is transforming industries. Digital commerce is expanding. Renewable energy is reshaping competitiveness. Climate adaptation is creating new investment opportunities. Dominica must prepare not only for today's economy, but for tomorrow's. We should become a regional leader in renewable energy, climate resilience, digital government, remote professional services, sustainable tourism, high-value agriculture, creative industries. The investments made today must position our young people to compete successfully in that emerging economy. Mr. Speaker, as we debate this budget, let us remember that success cannot be measured solely by gross domestic product. Success must also be measured by the number of young people who choose to remain in Dominica because meaningful opportunities exist, the number of small businesses that expand, the number of farmers whose incomes increase, the number of families who become home owners, the number of graduates who find rewarding employment, the confidence that citizens place in the future of this country. These are the indicators that matters most. Mr. Speaker, the Dominican economy possesses considerable strengths. We have talented people. Strategic investments are reshaping our infrastructure. These are genuine assets upon which we can build. But our work is not yet complete. Economic growth must become more inclusive. Public investment must stimulate greater private investments. Fiscal success must be matched by household prosperity. And national progress must ultimately be measured not only by the size of government's capital program, but by the quality of life experienced by every Dominican family. Mr. Speaker, the opposition therefore supports an economy that is dynamic, diversified, and fiscally responsible. An economy where growth is not an end in itself, but the means by which every citizen can enjoy greater security, wider opportunity, and a better standard of living. Mr. Speaker, it is with that objective in mind that I now turn to the government's program of infrastructure development and the critical question of how these historic investments can generate the greatest possible return for the people of Dominica. Mr. Speaker, throughout history, nations have been transformed by visionary infrastructure. Roads have opened markets, ports have expanded trade, airports have connected countries to the global economy, reliable electricity has fueled industrial growth, modern communications have created new industry. Infrastructure is therefore not simply about construction, it is about opportunity, it is about productivity, it is about competitiveness, it is about improving the quality of life of every citizen. The budget before us presents one of the most ambitious public investment programs ever undertaken in the history of the Commonwealth of Dominica. There can be no serious debate about its scale. The international airport, the geothermal power plant, major road rehabilitation, housing expansion, the cruise village, the marina, water systems, health and education infrastructure. Collectively, these projects represent an extraordinary national undertaking. The question before this Honorable House is therefore not whether these investments matter. They do. The real question is whether they are being managed in a manner that maximizes value for money, strengthens our economy, and delivers lasting benefits for future generations. That is the discussion the country deserves. Mr. Speaker, the international airport will define Dominica's economic future for generations. The Minister has advised this House that construction continues to advance with major works progressing and completion anticipated during 2028. If completed successfully, this project has the potential to reshape tourism, facilitate trade, strengthen regional connectivity, and encourage new investment. The opposition recognizes its national significance. Indeed, once this airport is completed, it will belong not to one political party, but to the people of the Commonwealth of Dominica. It will become a permanent national asset. For that very reason, Parliament has an obligation to ask important questions. Are construction milestones being achieved on schedule? Are costs remaining within approved estimates? Are appropriate mechanisms in place for quality assurance? What percentage of contracts have been awarded to Dominican firms? How many Dominican workers are receiving training and acquiring skills that will remain valuable long after construction ends? These are not partisan questions, Mr. Speaker. They are questions of stewardship. The larger the investment, the greater responsibility for transparency. Mr. Speaker, an airport does not create prosperity simply because aircraft land upon its runway. Its success will ultimately depend upon what follows: airline partnerships, new international routes, cargo services, visitor arrivals, business travel, export opportunities, customs efficiency, border technology, ground transportation, tourism readiness, private investment around the airport. Those preparations should already be underway. We encourage government to provide Parliament with a comprehensive operational readiness strategy well in advance of commissioning. Success begins before opening day. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the progress reported on the geothermal project represents another milestone in our national development. The Minister advises that the plant has entered the reliability testing phase following successful generation that commercial operation is approaching. If fully realized, geothermal energy can become one of Dominica's greatest competitive advantages. Affordable electricity has the potential to transform our economy. Manufacturing becomes more competitive. Hotels reduce operating costs. Farmers lower production expenses. Digital industries expand. Households enjoy meaningful savings. The opposition therefore welcomes this opportunity. However, Mr. Speaker, we now move from engineering to economics. The country deserves clarity. When can consumers expect lower electricity bills? How significant will those reductions be? How will lower energy costs improve business competitiveness? What new industries does government intend to attract using this advantage? Affordable energy should become a catalyst for national economic transformation, not merely another infrastructure success story. Mr. Speaker, roads are among the most visible expressions of public investment. Every community depends upon reliable transportation. Farmers depend upon roads to move produce. Businesses depend upon roads to transport goods. Students depend upon roads to reach school. Patients depend upon roads to access healthcare. Good roads reduce costs, increase productivity, improve safety, strengthen national integration. We therefore support continued investment in road infrastructure. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, Parliament should receive regular reporting on projects completion, maintenance planning, resilience standards, and long-term asset management. Infrastructure must not only be built, it must be maintained. Mr. Speaker, the government has continued its resilient housing program and has highlighted housing as a cornerstone of national development. Every Dominican deserves safe, secure, and resilient housing. That objective commands broad national support. Yet, housing policy must extend beyond the construction of individual units. Successful communities require supporting infrastructure, reliable water, sanitation, road access, street lightings, schools, healthcare facilities, public transportation, recreational spaces, employment opportunities. Housing succeeds when families build communities, not merely occupy buildings. We therefore encourage government to publish measurable outcomes relating not only to units constructed, but also to occupancy, affordability, community services, and long-term maintenance. Mr. Speaker, the proposed cruise village and marina represent important opportunities to diversify our tourism product and expand economic activity. Their success, however, will depend upon local participation. How many Dominican businesses will operate within these developments? How many local entrepreneurs will benefit? How many young people will secure permanent employment? What opportunities will exist for artisans, taxi operators, tour guides, restaurateurs, musicians, and cultural practitioners? Tourism investment should never become an isolated enclave. It should become an engine of opportunity extending throughout the wider economy. Every visitor should leave having experienced not only Dominica's natural beauty, but also the creativity, hospitality, and enterprise of its people. Mr. Speaker, perhaps the greatest test of any infrastructure program is whether it stimulates investment beyond government itself. Public investment should encourage private confidence. Hotels should expand. Restaurants should invest. Farmers should increase production. Manufacturers should modernize. Young entrepreneurs should establish new enterprises. Financial institutions should support productive investment. Government cannot remain the principal driver of economic activity indefinitely. Its role is to create the conditions under which private enterprise flourishes. That is how sustainable prosperity is created. Mr. Speaker, whenever public resources are invested on this scale, Parliament has an obligation to insist upon the highest standards of governance. Value for money is not measured solely by the lowest cost. It is measured by quality, durability, efficiency, timely completion, operational performance, economic returns, and public confidence. The opposition therefore believes that major national infrastructure projects should be accompanied by regular public reporting on Parliament on project milestones, budget performance, construction progress, employment outcomes, local contractor participation, risk management, projected economic returns. Such reporting does not weaken the government. It strengthens public confidence. Transparency, Mr. Speaker, is not an obstacle for development. Transparency is one of its greatest allies. Mr. Speaker, history provides an important lesson. Many countries have experienced construction booms. Some emerge stronger, others experience economic slowdowns once constructions concluded. The difference lay in preparation. Dominica must prepare now for the economy that follows construction. The airport should support exports. Geothermal energy should attract industry. Modern roads should reduce business costs. The marina should stimulate marine services. The cruise village should increase local entrepreneurship. Housing should strengthen communities. Infrastructure must become the platform upon which a stronger private economy is built. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, we risk celebrating the completion of projects without fully capturing their economic potential. Mr. Speaker, these projects belong to the Dominican people. They are being financed through the sacrifices, resources, and aspirations of this nation. Their success should therefore unite rather than divide us. Government has the responsibility to deliver. The opposition has the responsibility to scrutinize. Parliament has the responsibility to ensure accountability, and the people have the right to expect excellence. Those responsibilities are complementary, not contradictory. Mr. Speaker, infrastructure changes skylines. but only sound economic policy changes lives. The airport, again, geothermal energy, roads, housing, the cruise village and the marina have the potential to transform Dominica for generations. The opposition sincerely hopes that they do. Our appeal today is therefore simple. Let these investments become more than engineering achievements. Let them become engines of productivity, engines of entrepreneurship, engines of higher wages, engines of lower energy costs, engines of stronger communities, and engines of national prosperity. If these investments, Mr. Speaker, create opportunities for every Dominican, whether farmer or fisher, a teacher or a nurse, an entrepreneur or an artisan, young graduate or retiree, then this generation will have laid the foundation for a stronger Dominica. That is the measure by which history will judge us. And that is the standard to which this honorable house should hold every major investment made on behalf of the people of Dominica. Mr. Speaker, having examined the foundations of our economy and the infrastructure upon which future growth depends, I now turn to work with the leadership team that must ensure these national investments are converted into employment, exports, and lasting prosperity for all our people. Mr. Speaker, for perspectives, last year's budget, 2025-2026 budget, was framed around economic resilience, infrastructural development, and social protection, with a focus on reducing cost of living, creating jobs, and building a climate-resilient infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, how did we do? Is the cost of living less? Are there more jobs? Are we more climate resilient than we were then? The total budget, EC $1.213 billion, was said to be in the largest in Dominica's history. The highlights: allocations featured. In the area of cost of living and food security, import duty removal from October 1st, 2025 on these various items, on pigeon peas, luncheon meat, etc. Farmers' rebates, 40 to 50% for poultry, citrus, and hydroponics to boost local production. Push for backyard gardening and buying local produce. In the area of jobs and economic growth, thousands of jobs were to be created in agriculture, the international airport, the cable car, the Portsmouth Marina, digital services, film, tourism, housing, roads. In the area of infrastructure and major projects, the international airport, 40% complete ahead of schedule. Runway leveling expected by December 2025. Terminal, cargo, control tower, and tunnel works to start. Other projects listed was the Cabritz Marina, the cable car, enhancement for Roseau, cargo port, the cruise village, geothermal energy plant, new electricity transmission system. In housing, continuation of resilient housing program funded by the CBI for vulnerable groups and young families. In the area of climate resilience and community building, resettlement fundings, IDA credit of EC $69.9 million to relocate residents of Campbell, Pile-Soufriere, Saint-Sauveur, Good Hope to safer locations. The DOMCREP program, community resilience, agricultural adaptation, shelters, early warning system. In terms of revenue and fiscal measures, last year's budget promised fiscal focus, broadening revenue base, rationalizing tax incentives, VAT yield improvement, tourism or highway levies, solid waste fees, expenditure efficiency, reduce cost of goods and services, travel, and digitize operations. Mr. Speaker, how did we do? Especially with the citizen by investment revenues on the decline, have we been able to broaden this revenue base? How well have we rationalized tax incentives? Have we improved the yield from VAT? Have we reduced the cost of goods, services, and travel? How successful are we in digitalizing operations? Mr. Speaker, with those questions in mind, let's look at the implementation performance of the Cabinet of Ministers based on utilization of public sector investment programs allocations approved by this Honorable House for fiscal year 2025-2026. The approved PSIP allocation was EC $661.66 million, while revised with actual expenditure amounted to EC $650.24 million, representing an overall implementation rate of approximately 98.3%. At the aggregate level, the Cabinet can therefore say that it substantially delivered on its capital investment program. However, the aggregate masked some wide disparities between ministries. Several ministries significantly underperformed, while others exceeded their approved allocations by substantial margins, suggesting weakness in planning, project scheduling, budget forecasting, and expenditure control. Broadly, Mr. Speaker, we had strong performers in the category of 90% execution or better. And Mr. Speaker, I trust the members are allowed to clap for themselves. We had the moderate performance in the 60 to 85% category. Then we had the weak performers who fell below 50%. Mr. Speaker, I present this assessment in the interest of improvement. Year after year, this Honorable House approves monies for capital projects across all ministries of government to improve the lives of the citizens of this country. Government boasts of the size of its capital investment budget and what it means for growing the economy. But too often, millions of dollars allocated for improvement in major areas of national development remain unspent, thereby depriving struggling citizens of advancement opportunities. In terms of an individual ministerial assessment, in the excellent meet expectations category, we have number 1, the Prime Minister. Put up your head. Execution. The Prime Minister, execution, 104.3%, a very strong implementation record. Spending exceeded the approved allocation by approximately EC 15.3 million, indicating that the major flagship projects under the Prime Minister's portfolio progressed rapidly. Minister for Agriculture, execution, 95.1%. Among Cabinet's strongest performers, very little variance from budget, which suggests a realistic planning and effective project management. 3. Number 3, Minister for Labor and Public Service Reform. Execution, 84.2%. Strong implementation with limited variance. In the category of good but below expectations, we have the Ministry of Public Works. Execution, 76.7%. Delivered over 3/4 of the approved program, but approximately 30.6 million remain unspent. Considering public works' importance to national infrastructure, this indicates room for improved procurement and project delivery. Number 2, Minister for Sports, Culture and Community Development. Execution, 75.5%. Reasonably good implementation with moderate underspending. Number 3, Minister for Housing. Execution, 64.4%. Nearly 1/3 of planned investment remained unspent. Moderate performance requiring improved execution. Number 4, Minister of Health. Execution, 63.6%. More than 1/3 of planned investment was not implemented. Given continuing healthcare infrastructure needs, this level of execution raises concerns regarding project delivery. In the category of poor implementation, number 1, we have the Ministry of Tourism. Execution, 35.3%. Only about 1/3 of planned investment was executed. Considering tourism's importance to the economy, this represents one of the weakest performances. Minister of Finance, execution 26.2. Approximately 10.5 million of planned capital spending remain unspent. Given the ministry's coordinating roles over public investment, this level of implementation is disappointing. Number 3, Minister for Education, execution 21.7%. Less than 1/4 of approved capital investment was delivered. This suggests major delays or cancellation of planned projects. Number 4, Minister for National Security. Execution 17.3%. More than 82% of approved investment was not implemented. In the exceeding budget category, 2 ministries significantly exceeded their approved allocation. Number 1, Foreign Affairs, 334.6%, and Ministry of Environment, 119.9%. Substantially exceeding approved budgets raised questions about 1, adequacy for original budget estimates, effectiveness of expenditure forecasting, cabinet oversight, and parliamentary control to over public finances. The Foreign Affairs, Trade, Energy Ministry is particularly noteworthy, with expenditure more than 3 times the original allocation, warranting a detailed explanation. But Mr. Speaker, collectively, Cabinet deserves credit for achieving an overall PSIP implementation rate approaching 98%, demonstrating that the government largely maintains its capital investment program. Nevertheless, the distribution of performance reveals uneven ministerial effectiveness. 5 ministries executed less than 40% of their approved budgets. 2 ministries substantially exceeded their allocations. Only a handful closely matched their approved budgets. This pattern suggests that while Cabinet succeeded in maintaining aggregate capital spending, weaknesses remain in project planning, interministerial coordination, procurement, forecasting, and budget discipline. A stronger Cabinet performance would be characterized not simply by high total expenditure, but by consistent implementation across all ministries, with most portfolios executing between 90% and 105% of the approved allocations. Mr. Speaker, the 2025-2026 results indicate that this level of consistency is yet to be achieved. Mr. Speaker, no nation develops in isolation. Honorable Minister of Finance, trust me, we get that. We know that for a small island developing state, such as Dominica, our prosperity depends not only upon the decisions we make in this honorable House, but equally upon the confidence that the international community places in our institutions, our governance, our diplomacy, and our economy. And yes, today, the world is changing rapidly. Global trade patterns are shifting. Climate finance is becoming more competitive. Migration patterns are evolving. Geopolitical tensions continue to reshape international alliances. Financial regulations are becoming increasingly demanding. The standards expected of international financial centers and investment migration programs continue to rise. Against this backdrop, we must position our green nature island paradise as a trusted, respected, and internationally competitive member of the family nations. That must be the objective of our foreign policy. Foreign policy must serve economic development. Mr. Speaker, foreign policy can no longer be confined to embassies and diplomatic receptions. Today, diplomacy is an economic policy. Every diplomatic relationship should contribute towards attracting investment, expanding export markets, promoting tourism, improving educational partnerships, strengthening healthcare cooperation, and creating employment opportunities for our people. The true measure of our international relationships is not the number of agreements we sign. It is the opportunities they can create for Dominican citizens. As an opposition, we support constructive engagement with every nation willing to partner with Dominica on the basis of mutual respect, sovereignty, and shared prosperity. We believe our foreign policy must remain principled, balanced, and pragmatic. Dominica has earned international respect through its leadership on climate resilience, disaster recovery, and sustainable development. Those achievements must continue to be strengthened. Mr. Speaker, Dominica has become internationally recognized for its commitment to climate resilience. That reputation is an important national asset, but international recognition must translate into measurable benefits for our citizens. Climate leadership should produce greater access to concessional financing. It should reduce insurance costs. It should support agricultural resilience. It should strengthen our infrastructure. It should improve energy security. Above all, Mr. Speaker, it should improve the life of Dominican families. The opposition, therefore, encourages government to continue leveraging our international reputation while ensuring that climate diplomacy produces tangible economic returns. Mr. Speaker, no discussion on our international economic position would be complete without addressing the Citizen by Investment Program. Let me say clearly, Mr. Speaker, the Citizen by Investment Program has made an extraordinary contribution to Dominica's development. Schools, hospitals, housing, roads, climate resilience, water systems, public buildings, major infrastructure. Many of these projects discussed throughout this budget would not have been possible without revenues generated from this program. That is an undeniable fact. The issue before us is whether we are doing enough to protect its long-term credibility and sustainability. Mr. Speaker, the Minister himself acknowledges in this budget statement that the international environment surrounding investment migration continues to evolve and that increasing regulatory expectations require continuous strengthening of the program. This House should not underestimate the significance of that observation. Around the world, governments are demanding higher standards of due diligence, greater transparency, stronger regulatory oversight, more effective information sharing, closer monitoring of applicants. These developments are not directly solely at Dominica. They affect the entire investment migration industry. With all the promises of improvement made and all the constructive criticism of the program that have been set aside in this honorable House over the last 10 years, Dominica should now be operating the most credible, transparent, and professionally regulated citizen by investment program anywhere in the world. Excellence should become our competitive advantage years ago. Instead, we have been operating a program that the EU and the US feel justified to clamp down, claiming that it is compromising their security architecture against international criminality. We can and must do better by doing what we know we have to do, not next month, not next year, but right now to safeguard the CBI, even with the lower annual revenues. Last year, we had CBI revenues of $605 million. We are budgeting for $514.9 million this year, a decline of 15%. The CBI revenue projection for 2027-2028 is $474.8 million, $130.2 million, or 22% less than the CBI revenue collected in 2025-2026. The decline appears to be worsening with severe implications for critical CBI-funded national development projects going forward. CBI revenues should increasingly be used to build productive capacity rather than to create long-term dependence. When those investments generate sustainable private sector growth, the country becomes less vulnerable to external shocks. That is sound economic management. Mr. Speaker, while recognizing the immense contribution of the CBI program, we must also acknowledge an economic lesson we have been forced to learn, that countries should not overly be dependent upon a single source of revenue. Whether it be bananas, sugar, oil, tourism, or the citizen by investment, history teaches us that economic dependence creates vulnerability. A resilient economy rests upon multiple pillars: agriculture, tourism, manufacturing, financial services, digital industries, renewable energy, education, innovation, the creative economy, professional services, export-oriented entrepreneurship. The most effective way to protect the Citizen by Investment program is to ensure that it is no longer expected to finance virtually every aspect of national development. The stronger our productive economy becomes, the stronger the program itself becomes. Mr. Speaker, one of the more significant announcements in the budget concerns government's intention to strengthen long-term engagement between economic citizens and Dominica through implementation of residency, integration, and participation requires contained in the recently enacted regional regulatory framework. In principle, this is a positive direction. Citizens should represent more than a certificate. It should represent a meaningful relationship with our country. The more investors establish businesses here, purchase homes, support local enterprises, employ Dominican workers, participate in community life, the greater the long-term economic benefits for our nation. The opposition, therefore, supports every lawful initiative that transforms economic citizenship into lasting economic partnership. Mr. Speaker, the Minister has also announced an ambitious objective of increasing Dominica's resident population to 100,000 by the year 2040 through greater engagement with returning nationals, descendants of Dominica, and skilled migrants. This objective deserves serious national discussion. Population growth by itself is not development. Population growth must be accompanied by economic opportunities. Housing again, reliable utilities, healthcare, public transportation, education, employment, business expansion. Without those foundations, population targets remain aspirations rather than achievable outcomes. The opposition, therefore, proposes that Parliament receive regular progress reports on this initiative, including measurable targets relating to employment, housing availability, business creation, and public infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, few countries possess a stronger emotional connection with their overseas citizens than Dominica. Our diaspora has supported this country through hurricanes, family remittances, investment, community development, charitable work, national advocacy. Their contribution cannot be measured only in financial terms. It is measured in loyalty. We therefore welcome every initiative designed to strengthen engagement with overseas Dominicans. However, engagement must become a genuine partnership rather than an occasional consultation. Our diaspora should be invited not merely to celebrate Dominica, they should be invited to help shape its future. Mr. Speaker, in today's interconnected world, reputation has become one of the nation's most valuable assets. Confidence influences investments. Confidence influences tourism. Confidence influences financial markets. Confidence influences international partnerships. Every public institution, therefore, carries responsibility for protecting the country's reputation. Transparency strengthens confidence. Strong institutions strengthens confidence. Independent regulation strengthens confidence. Predictable public policy strengthens confidence. The opposition believes that preserving Dominica's international reputation must remain a bipartisan national objective. Mr. Speaker, our vision extends beyond responding to immediate challenges. We envision a foreign policy that actively secures new markets for Dominican products, attracts technology investments, expands educational partnerships, promotes renewable energy innovations, strengthens regional integration, creates opportunities for our young professionals, supports climate adaptation, and positions Dominicans as one of the Caribbean's most respected and competitive small states. That is the direction towards which our diplomacy should continuously evolve. Mr. Speaker, foreign policy is ultimately about people. It is about creating jobs for our graduates, markets for our farmers, opportunities for our entrepreneurs, security for our investors, confidence for our citizens, hope for future generations. We support international engagement that advances those objectives. We support a citizen by investment program that is globally respected. We support responsible diplomacy that protects our sovereignty while expanding opportunities. And we support an economy that is sufficiently diversified that no single external event can determine our national fortunes. That, Mr. Speaker, is how a nation builds resilience. That is how confidence is earned. And that is how Dominica secures not merely the next budget, but the next generation. Mr. Speaker, having examined the government's assessment of the economy, its policy proposal, and its vision for the years ahead, it is now my responsibility to place before this honorable House an alternative vision. Not a vision of division, but a vision of partnership. Not a vision that tears down what has already been built, but one that builds upon it with greater accountability, wider participation, and a stronger economic opportunity. The Dominican people deserve more than a choice between optimism and pessimism. They deserve a choice between two approaches to national development. The government's budget is funded primarily on the proposition that large-scale public investment will transform the economy. We accept that public investment has an essential role to play, but the public investment alone cannot create lasting prosperity. Lasting prosperity is created when government investment stimulates private investment, when entrepreneurship flourishes, when productivity increases, when wages rise, when businesses expand, and when ordinary citizens feel empowered to improve their own lives. That is the foundation on our alternative economic strategy. Mr. Speaker, the measure of a successful economy is not simply the number of public projects under construction. It is the number of citizens whose lives improves because of those projects. A modern airport should create opportunities for Dominican businesses. A marina should expand opportunities for Dominican fishermen, tour operators, and hospitality providers. Geothermal energy should lower electricity costs. Geothermal energy should lower electricity costs for Dominican households and businesses. Modern roads should reduce transportation costs for Dominican farmers and manufacturers. Infrastructure is not an end in itself. It is a means to creating a more productive economy. The opposition therefore believes that every major public investment should be accompanied by a comprehensive strategy for local business participation, workforce development, and export growth. Mr. Speaker, no country has achieved sustained prosperity without a confident and competitive private sector. Government creates the environment. Entrepreneurs create wealth. Workers create value. Innovation creates opportunity. The role of the government is to remove unnecessary barriers, improve access to finance, simplify regulation, modernize public services, and create confidence for investment. Small and medium-sized enterprises remain the backbone of our economy. Many continue to struggle with limited access to affordable financing, rising operating costs, regulatory delays, and small domestic markets. Our vision is to make Dominica one of the easiest places in the Caribbean to start, operate, and expand a business. We will do so. We will do what successful administrations in this country have promised over and over again, but never quite delivered. We will pursue faster business registration, digital licensing and permitting, predictable regulatory timelines, stronger support for exporters, expand access to affordable development finance, targeted assistance for innovation. Every young Dominican deserves the opportunity to build a future at home. Too many families continue to experience the pain of separation as talented sons and daughters live in search of employment elsewhere. Migration should always be a matter of choice. It should never become an economic necessity. Our objectives must therefore be to create sustainable, well-paid employment across multiple sectors of the economy. The airports again, the marina, and the geothermal energy should become platforms upon which thousands of new private sector jobs are created, not simply construction projects that conclude when the final ribbon is cut. Mr. Speaker, no nation is truly resilient if it cannot feed itself. Every dollar spent importing food that can be produced locally represents income and employment loss to another country. The opposition therefore proposes a renewed national commitment to an agricultural-based productivity, technology, irrigation, research, marketing, and value-added processing. Farmers should not merely produce more, they should earn more. Agriculture must become a profitable business capable of attracting young entrepreneurs back into the sector. Mr. Speaker, the successful completion of the geothermal project presents an opportunity that extends far beyond electricity generation. Lower energy costs should become one of Dominica's greatest competitive advantages. Affordable electricity can attract manufacturing, support agro-processing, strengthen digital industries, reduce household expenses, improve tourism competitiveness, encourage foreign investment. We therefore, Mr. Speaker, urge government to publish a clear roadmap showing how the economic benefits of geothermal energy will be passed on to consumers and businesses once commercial operations commence. Mr. Speaker, buildings do not create prosperity, people do. Our greatest national resource has always been the intelligence, resilience, and determination of our Dominican people. Investment in education must therefore extend beyond classrooms. It must prepare our young people for the economy that is emerging. Technical education, digital skills, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, renewable energy technologies, construction trades, hospitality management, health sciences, entrepreneurship. These are the skills that will determine whether our people become participants in economic transformation or merely observers. Mr. Speaker, investors place capital where they have confidence. Citizens invest where they have confidence. Confidence grows where institutions are transparent, efficient, and accountable. For that reason, Mr. Speaker, governance reform is not separate from economic reform. It is economic reform. Efficient procurement, independent oversight, timely publication on public accounts, strong parliamentary scrutiny, professional public administration. These are not abstract principles. They are practical requirements for attracting investment and strengthening economic growth. Mr. Speaker, economic success cannot be measured only by national averages. Development must be geographically inclusive. The fishermen in Scott's Head, the farmers in Salisbury, the shopkeeper in Maho, the entrepreneur in Portsmouth, the craft vendor in Roseau, the young graduate in Wesley, the taxi operator in Castle Bruce, or the seamstress in Granby. Each must see a place for themselves in Dominica's future. Growth that benefits only a few ultimately weakens social cohesion. Growth that creates opportunities for many strengthens democracy itself. Mr. Speaker, the time has come to move beyond the politics of perpetual confrontation. Some generations inherit peace and stability. Others inherit crisis and uncertainty. Our generation has inherited extraordinary opportunities, but also profound responsibilities. Mr. Speaker, no amount of physical infrastructure can compensate for weakened public trust. A nation is not built only with concrete and steel. It is built on confidence, confidence in our institutions, confidence in our democracy, confidence in our public service, confidence in our justice systems, confidence that every citizen matters equally, confidence that government belongs to all the people, not merely those who support the government of the day. That confidence is the foundation upon which every successful nation is built. Development must unite, not divide. Mr. Speaker, division, not poverty, is one of the greatest dangers facing small societies. Division weakens our institutions. Division discourages investment. Division erodes confidence. Division convinces talented young people that their future lies elsewhere. Politics should never become so dominant that it overshadows our common identity as Dominicans. Long after elections have been won or lost, long after governments have changed, long after today's debates have faded into history, we shall still remain one people, one nation, one future. That truth should guide every decision taken in this honorable House. Mr. Speaker, governments change, oppositions change, political leaders change, but Dominica endures. Our responsibility is therefore larger than any political party. We are custodians of the institutions entrusted to us. We are not the owners. Every law we pass, every budget we approve, every appointment we make, every decision affecting the public interest should strengthen those institutions for future generations. Mr. Speaker, this Parliament occupies a unique place in our democracy. Here, disagreements are inevitable. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, they are healthy. Democracy depends upon vigorous debates, but vigorous debates should never descend into permanent hostility. Citizens expect robust disagreement over policy. They do not expect personal contempt. They expect principled leadership, respectful dialogue, mutual recognition that every member, regardless of the party affiliation, was elected to represent the interests of the Dominican people. We may disagree passionately, but we must never forget that we ultimately serve the same Commonwealth of Dominica. Mr. Speaker, no government can successfully govern without public confidence. No opposition can effectively serve without public confidence. No democracy can flourish without public confidence. Trust is earned. It cannot be legislated. It grows when government keeps their promises, when institutions operate fairly, when public resources are managed transparently, when citizens believe that the law applies equally to everyone, when appointments are based upon competence, when Parliament exercises meaningful oversight, when disagreement is respected rather than feared. These principles are conditions for sustainable development. Mr. Speaker, the strength of any government ultimately depends upon the strength of its public institutions. Our public officers serve governments of different political persuasions over the course of their careers. Their loyalty is to the Constitution, to the laws of Dominica, and to the people. They deserve opportunities for professional development, clear career progression, recognition for excellence, protection from undue political interference, and efficient public service, is an economic asset. It encourages investment. It improves service delivery. It strengthens public confidence and enhances national competitiveness. Mr. Speaker, no issue deserves greater attention than the confidence of our young people. Too many talented young Dominicans still wonder whether their greatest opportunities lie somewhere else. Our responsibility is to ensure that they see a future here in Dominica, not because they are asked to remain, but because they choose to remain. A country retains its young people when it offers hope, meaningful employment, affordable housing, quality education, safe communities, and creative opportunities, and confidence that success depends upon merit, effort, and innovation. The future of Dominica will ultimately be written by those who are now sitting in our classrooms. Everything we do today must prepare them for tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, unity does not mean that every citizen must think alike. Democracy thrives upon diversity of opinion. Unity means recognizing that we all seek the advancement of Dominica, even when we disagree about the best path to achieve it. Our political differences should never become personal divisions. There is room in this Commonwealth for different philosophies, different priorities, different approaches. There must always remain room for respectful disagreement, for constructive criticism, for peaceful change. Those are the strengths for democratic society. Mr. Speaker, the time has come to renew the relationship between citizens and the government. The people ask for honesty. Government must respond with transparency. The people ask for opportunity. Government must respond with policies that create employment and reward enterprise. The people ask for fairness. Government must ensure that institutions operate impartially. The people ask for accountability. Government must account for every public dollar entrusted to its care. This is the very essence of democratic government. Mr. Speaker, there are some goals that should never belong exclusively to one political party. A stronger economy, better schools, safer communities, affordable healthcare, modern infrastructure, lower electricity bills, greater food security, climate resilience, opportunities for our youth, and respect for democratic institutions. These are national objectives. They should inspire national cooperation. There will always be legitimate differences over methods, but our destination should remain the same. Mr. Speaker, history teaches us that nations do not succeed because they avoid difficulty. They succeed because they face difficulty with courage, confidence, and unity. Dominica has survived hurricanes, economic shocks, global recessions, pandemics, natural disasters. Each time, we have emerged stronger because our people possess extraordinary resilience. That resilience remains our greatest national resource. But resilience alone, Mr. Speaker, is not enough. We must now build confidence. Confidence that tomorrow will be better than today. Confidence that our institutions are worthy of trust. Confidence that opportunity is expanding. Confidence that every child, regardless circumstance, can fulfill his or her potential. Confidence that our democracy remains strong. Mr. Speaker, this debate is larger than a budget. It is about the kind of country we wish to become. We will continue to measure success only by the projects. Will we continue to measure success only by the projects we construct? Or shall we measure success by the trust we build, the opportunities we create, the institutions we strengthen, and the unity we preserve? The opposition chooses the latter. We believe Dominica's future will be secured not only by airports and highways and geothermal energy and marinas, but by a renewed commitment to honesty, accountability, inclusion, and national unity. Let us therefore leave this chamber with renewed determination, not merely to win political arguments, but to strengthen the nation we all love. For in the end, Mr. Speaker, governments will come and go, political parties will rise and fall, but the Commonwealth of Dominica must endure stronger, fairer, more united and more hopeful with every passing generation. That is the new national development contract to which we commit ourselves. That is the covenant we owe to the people of Dominica, and that is the future worthy of a blessed nation. Mr. Speaker, I now shift my focus on my constituency. Mr. Speaker, as I continue my contribution to this budget debate, I wish to draw my attention to the community of Kulibistri. A resilient and vibrant village continue to face challenges that deserve careful consideration as we allocate resources under this national budget. One of the foremost concerns is the condition of critical infrastructure within the community. While improvements have been made in certain areas, residents continue to advocate for the rehabilitation of roads, retaining walls, drainage systems, and footpaths that have deteriorated over time. During periods of heavy rainfall, inadequate drainage contributes to flooding in some areas and accelerates damage to public infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, Kulibistri is also highly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. Coastal erosion, rough seas, and increasingly intense weather systems continue to threaten sections of the village and public infrastructure. Continued investment in coastal protection measures, defense works, and climate resilient infrastructure is essential to safeguard homes, livelihoods, and public assets, securing a safer future for Kulibistri. One of the most pressing issues confronting the people of Kulibistri is the need for a comprehensive and long-term relocation program for families living in areas that have been repeatedly affected by natural disasters and identified as being highly vulnerable to future climate-related events. For decades, Mr. Speaker, the people of Kulibistri have lived with the constant reality of flooding, storm surges, coastal erosion, and river overflows. Successive tropical storms and hurricanes have demonstrated the community's exposure to these hazards, resulting in damage to homes, public infrastructure, and livelihoods. While emergency response and recovery efforts have provided much-needed relief over the years, it is increasingly evident that recovery alone is not a sustainable solution. Mr. Speaker, there comes a point when rebuilding in the same vulnerable location after every major weather event is neither economically prudent nor socially responsible. Our national objective of becoming the world's first climate-resilient nation requires us to think beyond reconstruction and to embrace long-term adaptation strategies that place the safety and well-being of our citizens first. For many families in Kulibistri, every hurricane season brings uncertainty and anxiety. Parents worry about the safety for their children. Elderly residents fear losing their homes they have occupied for decades. And household continues to face the emotional and financial burden of repeatedly repairing properties after severe weather events. No family should have to live with the constant fear that the next storm could destroy everything they have worked so hard to build. This is why I respectfully advocate for the development of a structured relocation program for the residents whose homes are situated in the areas that have been identified by the relevant authorities as being at an unacceptable risk from flooding, coastal erosion, river overflow, or other natural hazards. Such programs must be carefully planned, transparent, and community-centered. Relocation should never be viewed simply as the movement of people from one place to another. It must preserve the dignity of affected families, protect their social networks, and provide opportunities for them to continue earning a livelihood while living in a safer surrounding. My dear people of Kulibistri, I want you to know that I hear your concerns, I understand your challenges, and I remain hopeful and committed to advocating on your behalf. I recognize that many families continue to live with the uncertainty regarding their housing, community safety, and the future of the village. These are legitimate concerns that deserve careful attention and meaningful action. I want to assure you, my people of Kuli District, every resident that your voices have not gone unheard, and your concerns will continue to be raised at every opportunity with the relevant authorities. As your parliamentary representative, I remain committed to advocating for improved housing, safer communities, stronger infrastructure, and sustainable development for Kuli District. I will continue to support initiatives that strengthen disaster resilience, improve public services, and create opportunities for economic growth and employment. Mr. Speaker, road safety is a fundamental aspect of community development, and it is one that deserves greater attention within the community of Kuli District. As we continue to invest in road rehabilitation and infrastructure across the country, we must also recognize that safe roads require more than asphalt and concrete. They require proper traffic management systems, clear signage, and measures that protect both motorists and the pedestrians. One of the recurring issues raised by residents is the limited number of traffic and road signs on the highway. In several locations, Mr. Speaker, motorists receive little advance warning of sharp bends, pedestrian crossing, school zones, community entrances, or areas where reduced speed is necessary. This creates unnecessary risks for residents, particularly the school children, Mr. Speaker, senior citizens, and individuals who regularly cross the highway to access the schools, the churches, businesses, and the bus stop. Priority should be given to the installation of clearly marked speed limit signs, pedestrian crossing signs, and school zone warning signs. These signs should be strategically positioned to provide motorists with sufficient time to respond safely to changing road conditions. In addition, Mr. Speaker, in addition to regulatory and warning signs, clearly marked pedestrian crossings should be established at locations frequently used by school children, elderly residents, and members of the wider community. Appropriate road markings, reflective paint, and warning signs would significantly improve pedestrian safety while encouraging greater compliance by motorists. By implementing a comprehensive road signage program for Kuli District, we will strengthen public safety, improve traffic management, and take another important step towards building a community where development is measured not only by new infrastructure, but by the protection and well-being of the people it serves. Mr. Speaker, no discussion on the Salisbury constituency would not be complete without highlighting one of the greatest obstacles to economic development in our communities, the deplorable road conditions of our farm access roads. Agriculture has always been the backbone of Salisbury, Kuli District, and Monrachet constituency. For generations, our farmers have cultivated bananas, dashins, tanias, yams, sweet potatoes, vegetables, citrus, pineapple, watermelon, and a variety of other crops that have contributed significantly to the national economy. Despite the many changes that have taken place over the years, our farmers continue to demonstrate resilience, determination, and an unwavering commitment to feeding this nation. However, Mr. Speaker, resilience alone cannot overcome poor infrastructure. Many of our farm access roads have deteriorated to the point where they significantly hinder agricultural production. In several areas, including places like Brush, sections of the Kawum Road, the Goravin roads have become deeply rotted, washed away by heavy rainfall, blocked by landslide, or overgrown due to inadequate maintenance. During the rainy season, some roads become virtually impassable, leaving farmers with no reliable means of transporting their produce to the markets. Mr. Speaker, allow me to draw particular attention to one issue that has been raised repeatedly by the farming community, which deserves urgent consideration. the construction of a bridge at Gwawavin along one of the principal farm access routes within the Salisbury constituency. This is not simply a request for another piece of infrastructure. It is a request that has direct implications for agricultural productivity, food security, rural livelihood, and economic development. Along this important access route, farmers are required to cross a river to reach hundreds of acres of productive agricultural lands. During periods of dry weather, this crossing may appear manageable. However, if there is a moderate or heavy rainfall, the river rises rapidly, becoming dangerous and in many instances completely impassable. Mr. Speaker, the reality is that a single rainfall event can isolate dozens of farmers from their lands. They are unable to tend to their crops, transport fertilizers, carry planting materials, or harvest produce that is ready for the market. In some cases, farmers are forced to wait several days before the river subsides enough for them to cross safely. By then, valuable produce may have deteriorated, crops may have suffered damage, and opportunities to meet market demands may have been lost. Mr. Speaker, agriculture is a time-sensitive enterprise. Crops cannot wait for favorable weather. Harvesting schedules cannot always be postponed. Buyers expect timely deliveries, and many agricultural products are highly perishable. Every day of delayed access translates directly into financial losses for hardworking farmers. The absence of a proper bridge also presents a serious safety concerns. Farmers frequently attempt to cross the river, carrying heavy loads of produce, agricultural chemicals, tools, and equipment. Some rely on makeshift crossings or attempt to navigate fast-flowing waters because they have no practical alternative. This places their lives at unnecessary risk. No farmer should have to choose between earning a livelihood and risking personal injury simply to access his or her land. The consequences, Mr. Speaker, they are severe. A farmer may spend months preparing land, purchasing inputs, planting crops, controlling pests, and tending to fields, only to discover that when harvest time arrives, the produce cannot be transported because the road is inaccessible. Fruits and vegetables are highly perishable. Every day that produce remains on the farm instead of reaching the market represents loss of income, wasted labor, and reduced food availability. Mr. Speaker, this is not merely an agricultural issue, it is an economic issue. Mr. Speaker, farmers cannot get their produce to market efficiently. Consumers face reduced supplies and potential high prices. Local businesses that depend on agricultural production experience reduced activity. Export opportunities are missed, national food security is weakened, and our dependence on imported food continues to grow. Improving farm access roads should therefore be viewed not as an expense, but as a strategic investment in economic development. Every kilometer of properly constructed and maintained farm road improves productivity. It reduces transportation costs, minimizes post-harvest losses, and increases farmers' incomes. Mr. Speaker, I therefore renew my call for a comprehensive program to rehabilitate and maintain farm access roads throughout the Salisbury constituency. This program should not consist of temporary patchwork repairs after periods of heavy rainfall. Rather, it should involve proper engineering, effective drainage systems, slope stabilization where necessary, durable surfacing, and routine maintenance schedules that ensures roads remain usable throughout the year. Climate resilience must also be incorporated in the design for these roads. As extreme weather events become more frequent and intense, our infrastructure must be capable of withstanding heavy rainfall, flooding, and landslide. Investing in resilient farm roads today will reduce maintenance costs for tomorrow, while ensuring continuity in agricultural production. Mr. Speaker, if we are serious about strengthening agriculture, promoting food security, and revitalizing rural communities, then improving farm access routes must become a national priority. The hard-working farmers of Salisbury constituency have demonstrated time and time again that they are prepared to do their part. It is now our collective responsibility to provide the infrastructure that enables them to reach their full potential. our health center. Kassan. Mr. Speaker, healthcare is not a privilege reserved for a few. It is a fundamental right that every citizen deserves, regardless of where they live. As we discuss this national budget, I wish to draw my attention to the pressing need for a modernized health center in Salisbury, one that reflects the evolving healthcare needs to our people and the government's vision of building a more resilient and healthier Dominica. Mr. Speaker, the existing health center has served the people of Salisbury faithfully over the years, and we acknowledge the dedication and the professionalism of the doctors, nurses, community health aides, and support staff who continue to provide quality care under often challenging circumstances. Their commitment to serving the public is commendable and deserves our sincere appreciation. However, Mr. Speaker, while our healthcare professionals continue to give their very best, the physical infrastructure within which they operate has not kept pace with modern standards of our healthcare delivery. As our population grows, ages and faces increasingly complex health challenges, the facilities available to both patients and healthcare providers must evolve accordingly. The Salisbury community deserves a health center that is modern, accessible, climate resilient, and equipped to provide a wider range of primary healthcare services. Such a facility should not merely be a building where patients receive treatment. It should serve as a comprehensive community wellness center that emphasizes prevention, early diagnosis, health education, and chronic disease management. Today, many residents must travel outside the community to access services that could reasonably be provided within a well-equipped modern healthcare. This places an additional financial burden on families, particularly the elderly, persons living with disabilities, pregnant women, and those with chronic illnesses who require regular medical attention. For many households, traveling to another district means paying transportation costs, taking time away from work, arranging childcare, or depending on relatives for assistance. These are burdens that can be reduced by investing in stronger primary healthcare services within the community itself. Mr. Speaker, a modern health center should include consultation rooms that provide privacy and comfort for patients, expanded examination facilities, improved material and child health services, dedicated treatment rooms, and an appropriate storage for pharmaceuticals. Mr. Speaker, the facility should also be designed with accessibility in mind, ensuring that senior citizens and persons with disabilities can move throughout the building safely and comfortably. Ramps, handrails, accessible washrooms, and spacious waiting areas should become standard features for modern public healthcare facilities. Mr. Speaker, mental health services should also form part of a long-term vision for the facility. Increasingly, communities across Dominica are recognizing the importance of supporting emotional and psychological well-being alongside physical health. Providing confidential counseling services and community mental health programs would strengthen the overall health of the community. Mr. Speaker, we must also acknowledge the growing challenge on non-communicable diseases. Diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and obesity continue to place significant pressure on the families and healthcare system. A modern health center would provide the space and resources necessary to expand screening programs, nutritional counseling, wellness clinics, and community education initiatives aimed at preventing these conditions before they become life-threatening. Mr. Speaker, climate resilience must also guide the design of any future healthcare facility. As we have learned from the impacts of tropical storms and hurricanes, our public infrastructure must be capable of functioning during and after natural disasters. A modernized Salisbury Health Center should be constructed or upgraded to withstand extreme weather events, equipped with reliable backup power, adequate water storage, emergency communication systems, and sufficient medical supplies to continue serving the community during emergencies. Such a facility, Mr. Speaker, would not only serve Salisbury, but would also provide critical support to neighboring communities when disaster strikes, reinforcing the government's objective of creating a climate-resilient nation. I, therefore, Mr. Speaker, respectfully urge the government to give favorable consideration to the modernization and expansion of the Salisbury Health Center as part of its ongoing commitment to strengthening healthcare across Dominica. This investment would demonstrate a commitment to equitable development, ensuring that rural communities receive healthcare facilities comparable to those elsewhere in the country. It would improve health outcomes, reduce unnecessary travel for medical services, support our dedicated healthcare professionals, and provide lasting benefits for generations to come. Mr. Speaker, the people of the Salisbury constituency deserve a healthcare facility that reflects their dignity, meets their growing needs, and prepares the community for the future. A modernized health center would stand not only as a symbol of progress, but as a lasting investment in the health, resilience, and well-being of every resident we are privileged to serve. The Salisbury Beach, Mr. Speaker. Unlocking the economic potential of Salisbury Beach. Mr. Speaker, one of the Salisbury constituency's greatest yet underutilized assets is the magnificent Salisbury Beach. Stretching along our western coastline and framed by the Caribbean Sea, this natural treasure possesses enormous potential to become a catalyst for sustainable economic growth, employment, and community development. For many years, Salisbury Beach has been appreciated primarily by residents for recreation, fishing, and community gatherings. Visitors who happen upon our shores are often captivated by its scenic beauty, the breathtaking sunsets, the refreshing sea breeze, and the tranquility that defines our coastline. Yet, despite these natural advantages, the beach remains largely underdeveloped as an economic asset. Mr. Speaker, tourism is one of the pillars of our national economy, and if we are serious about expanding the industry's benefits beyond our traditional tourism hubs, we must begin investing in community-based tourism that allows rural communities to participate more directly in the sector's growth. Salisbury Beach presents precisely that opportunity. With thoughtful planning and environmentally responsible development, the beach could become a vibrant destination that attracts both local and international visitors while preserving the natural beauty that makes it so unique. Development should not mean over-commercialization or the destruction of our environment. Rather, it should focus on enhancing what nature has already provided while creating opportunities for our local people. I envision a beach that is clean, safe, welcoming, and accessible to everyone. A beach with well-designed public amenities, proper restroom and changing facilities, picnic areas, adequate lighting, designated parking, waste disposal systems, and improved accessibility for families and senior citizens. These seemingly simple improvements would significantly enhance the visitor experience while encouraging greater use of the beach by residents and tourists alike. Mr. Speaker, Salisbury Beach also has tremendous potential for small businesses and entrepreneurship. Mr. Speaker, imagine local vendors operating attractive kiosks, offering authentic Dominican cuisine, fresh seafood, tropical fruits, and locally produced goods. Imagine young entrepreneurs providing beach equipment, rentals, guided tours, cultural experiences, wellness activities, or water-based recreational services where conditions safely permit. Each of these enterprises presents employment opportunities, income generation, and economic empowerment for residents of the constituency. Our fishermen who have depended on this water for generations would also benefit from improved infrastructure, appropriate facilities to support the fishing community, combined with tourism development, would create a complementary relationship where visitors experience authentic fishing traditions while local fishermen gain new markets for their catch. Mr. Speaker, the beach also provides an excellent venue for community events and cultural activities. Festivals celebrating our music, our cuisine, and our heritage could attract visitors from across Dominica and beyond, stimulating business activity while showcasing the rich cultural identity of the Salisbury constituency. Such events, Mr. Speaker, would provide opportunities for musicians, food vendors, youth groups, and community organizations to participate directly in local economic development. Environmental sustainability, however, must remain at the heart of any development strategy. As we seek to unlock the economic potential of Salisbury Beach, we must also protect its ecological value. Coastal vegetation, marine ecosystems, and shoreline stability should be carefully preserved through responsible planning. Given the increasing threats posed by climate change and coastal erosion, investment in shoreline protection and coastal resilience should accompany any tourism initiative. Protecting our coastline is not simply an environmental responsibility, it is an economic necessity. Mr. Speaker, the Salisbury Beach has the potential to become an important stop along Dominica's growing ecotourism and cruise tourism offerings. Through strategic marketing, collaboration with tour operators, and improved visitor facilities, more travelers should be encouraged to explore the West Coast, spend time within our communities, and support local businesses. This is the type of inclusive development that strengthens communities from the ground up. I, therefore, Mr. Speaker, respectfully encourage the government to consider a comprehensive development plan for Salisbury Beach that balances economic opportunity with environmental stewardship. Such a plan, Mr. Speaker, should be developed in consultation with the local community, ensuring that residents remain active partners and primary beneficiaries of future developments. Mr. Speaker, the Salisbury community is blessed with remarkable natural assets. Our responsibility is not merely to admire these blessings, but to manage them wisely, develop them responsibly, and to ensure that they create lasting opportunities for our people. The development of Salisbury Beach is more than a tourism project. It is an investment in entrepreneurship, employment, youth empowerment, cultural preservation, and sustainable economic growth. With vision, collaboration, and prudent investment, Salisbury Beach can become one of Dominica's premier community tourism destinations and a source of pride and prosperity for generations to come. Mr. Speaker, the Salisbury playing field. Enhancing the Salisbury playing field, investing in youth, sports, and community development. Mr. Speaker, as I continue to highlight development priorities for the Salisbury community, I wish to address another project that carries significant importance to our people, the enhancement and modernization of the Salisbury playing field. A playing field is much more than an open space where sporting activities take place. It is the heartbeat of a community. It is where children first learn the values of teamwork and discipline, where young athletes develop their talents, where families gather to support community events, and where social bonds are strengthened through healthy recreation. It is a place that brings people together regardless of their age, their background, or their political affiliation. For generations, Mr. Speaker, the Salisbury playing field has served as a central gathering place for sporting competitions, school activities, cultural celebrations, and community events. It has produced talented footballers, cricketers, athletes, and sportsmen and women who have proudly represented not only the community, but Dominica as a whole. However, Mr. Speaker, as the demand placed on the facility continues to grow, it is evident that the playing field requires significant enhancement if it is to meet the needs of a modern and civic and active community. Mr. Speaker, the people of Salisbury deserve a playing field that reflects the immense talent that exists within the community. They deserve a playing field that encourages greater participation in sports, promotes healthier lifestyles, and creates opportunities for young people to develop their abilities in a safe and well-maintained environment. Mr. Speaker, the enhancement of the playing field should not be viewed solely as a sports project. It is an investment in youth development, crime prevention, public health, and community cohesion. Our young people need safe and welcoming spaces where they can channel their energy into positive activities. Sports teach discipline, leadership, perseverance, teamwork, and respect, qualities that contribute to success both on and off the field. Every dollar invested in sports and recreation is also an investment in reducing social challenges and creating opportunities for our youth to reach their full potential. Mr. Speaker, the Salisbury Sports Committee has already laid a strong foundation. Imagine what could be achieved if that dedication were matched by modern facilities and adequate resources. The committee would be able to expand programs, engage more young people, host larger tournaments, and strengthen Salisbury's reputation as one of Dominica's most active sportive communities. Mr. Speaker, I therefore encourage the government to work in partnership with the Salisbury Sports Committee, local organizations, and the wider community to develop a proper playing field that reflects the aspirations of our people. Such collaboration would ensure that future improvements are guided by those who know the needs of the community best and who have demonstrated an unwavering commitment to the development of sports. Mr. Speaker, the people of Salisbury are not asking for luxury. They are asking for opportunity. They are asking for an improved playing field that matches the passion, commitment, and talent that already exists within the community. Solid waste management. Mr. Speaker, while discussing solid waste management, I must draw attention to one of the most pressing concerns consistently raised by residents throughout the Salisbury constituency: the inadequate capacity for timely garbage collection due to the limited availability of garbage trucks serving our communities. Mr. Speaker, the issue is not that residents are unwilling to dispose of their waste properly. On the contrary, the overwhelming majority of our people understand the importance of maintaining clean surroundings and cooperate with the established collection schedules. The difficulty arises when these schedules cannot be maintained because of insufficient equipment and operational constraints. Too often, Mr. Speaker, residents experience delays in garbage collection that result in waste remaining at the roadside for extended periods. What should be collected within a matter of days sometimes remain unattended for much longer, creating understandable frustration among households and businesses. When garbage is left uncollected, Mr. Speaker, it quickly becomes a public health concern. Bags are torn open by stray animals, waste is scattered along roadsides, unpleasant odors develop, and insects and rodents are attracted to residential areas. These conditions affect the quality of life of our people and undermine the efforts of families who are committed to keeping the communities clean. Mr. Speaker, the current situation places tremendous pressure on sanitation workers who continue to perform their duties under challenging circumstances. I wish to acknowledge and commend these hardworking men for their dedication and commitment. The difficulties they encounter are not a reflection of their work ethic, but rather the limitations imposed by inadequate resources. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, respectfully encourage the government to work closely with the relevant authorities to assess the waste collection needs of the Salisbury constituency and to allocate the necessary resources to improve this vital service. Mr. Speaker, investing in additional garbage collection capacity is not merely an investment in equipment. It is an investment in cleaner communities, healthier families, environmental protection, and a higher quality of life for the people we have all been elected to serve. Supporting small businesses and entrepreneurs.
10 more minutes.
The growth and prosperity of the Salisbury constituency. Yes, please. Oh. Mr. Speaker, how much time, Mr. Speaker? 10. Mr. Speaker, the growth and prosperity of the Salisbury constituency depend not only on public investment, but also on the resilience, creativity, and determination of our small business owners and entrepreneurs. They are the engine of our local economy, creating employment, providing essential goods and services, supporting families, and contributing to the social and economic development of our communities. Throughout Salisbury, Kulibistri, and Monrochet, we have entrepreneurs and small business owners who continue to demonstrate remarkable resilience despite economic uncertainties and challenges associated with operating businesses in rural communities. They have invested their savings, taken calculated risk, and remain committed to building sustainable businesses that benefit both their families and wider constituency. Recognizing both the potential and the challenges facing our business community, I recently had the privilege of bringing together small business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs from across the Salisbury constituency for an important engagement with the minister and officials from the ministry responsible for small business. Mr. Speaker, the objective of that meeting was simple but meaningful: to create an open forum where entrepreneurs and small business owners could engage directly with the ministry, learn about the programs and opportunities available to them, share the realities they face in operating their businesses, and identify practical ways in which government can better support enterprise development within the constituency. The response from the business community was overwhelmingly positive. Entrepreneurs welcomed the opportunities to have direct dialogue with the ministry and appreciated willingness of government officials to listen to their concerns and explain the various initiatives designed to support micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. Mr. Speaker, several participants also emphasized the importance of simplifying application processes and ensuring that entrepreneurs and small business owners from rural communities receive timely information about government programs and funding opportunities. Too often, opportunities exist, but many deserving entrepreneurs and business owners are unaware of them or encounter difficulties navigating the application process. Mr. Speaker, I therefore wish to commend the Minister, Honorable Darren Pinan, Member for Colio, and the officials from the ministry responsible for small business for taking the time to meet directly with the entrepreneurs and small business owners of Salisbury constituency. Their willingness to engage with our people, with my people, sends a positive message that government is prepared to listen, collaborate, and support those who are invested in the nation's economy. However, Mr. Speaker, engagements must now be followed by action. The ideas and concerns and recommendations expressed during that meeting should serve as the foundation of continued collaboration between the ministry, the entrepreneurs, and small business owners of the Salisbury constituency. To my constituents of Salisbury, Kulibisri, and Monrachet, I remain committed to continuing this dialogue with you in the business community. The recent meeting should not be viewed as a one-time event, but as the beginning of an ongoing partnership dedicated to unlocking the full economic potential of the Salisbury constituency. I therefore respectfully encourage the government to continue expanding programs that strengthens micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises while ensuring that rural constituencies such as Salisbury receive equitable access to financing, training, mentorship, and market opportunities. Mr. Speaker, as I bring this budget reply to a close, I return to a simple but profound truth. Budgets come and go. Governments come and go. Political parties rise and fall. But the Commonwealth of Dominica endures. Long after today's debates have faded into history, our children and grandchildren will inherit the consequences of the decisions we make in this chamber. That knowledge should humble every one of us. It should remind us that public office is not an entitlement. It is a sacred trust. We have been entrusted with the future of a nation. Throughout this debate, there will be moments of agreement and moments of disagreement. This is the nature of parliamentary democracy. But beyond these differences, Mr. Speaker, lies a larger responsibility. The responsibility to place country above party. The responsibility to ensure that every decision strengthens rather than weakens our nation. The responsibility to leave behind institutions that are stronger than those we inherited. History rarely remembers who delivered the loudest speeches. History remembers those who built stronger nations. Let that be our ambition. Mr. Speaker, the Minister has invited the nation to imagine a transformed Dominica. We share that aspiration. We too believe in an international airport that connects Dominica to the world. We believe in geothermal energy that lowers electricity costs and strengthens our competitiveness. We believe in modern hospitals, resilient houses, safer roads, thriving agriculture, world-class tourism, and vibrant communities. We support progress. We support ambition. We support national development. But we also believe that every project must be matched by transparency. Every investment, by accountability, every policy by measurable results, and every promise by faithful delivery. That is how confidence is built. Mr. Speaker, when future generations look back upon this period in our history, I hope they will not measure our success solely by kilometers of roads we constructed, or the number of buildings we completed, or the size of our national budget. I hope they will say that this was the generation that restored confidence in public institutions, the generation that strengthened democracy, the generation that expanded opportunity, the generation that reduced poverty, the generation that kept our young people believing that their future could be built here at home, the generation that transformed economic growth into shared prosperity. That would be the legacy worthy of this parliament, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today I wish to speak not only to members of this honorable house, but to every Dominican listening across our beloved country and throughout the diaspora. To the farmer rising before dawn, your work feeds the nation. To the nurse caring for the sick, your compassion strengthens the nation. To the teacher preparing for the next generation, your dedication shapes this nation. To the police officers protecting our communities, your service secures this nation. To the entrepreneur risking personal savings to build a business, your courage grows this nation. To the young graduates searching for an opportunity, do not lose faith in your country. To our senior citizens whose sacrifices built the Dominica we inherit today, we honor you. And to every citizen and to every Dominican living overseas who still calls this island home, you remain part of our national family. This country needs your ideas, your experience, your investment, and your love. Dominica belongs to us all. Mr. Speaker, our politics has at times become too divided, too suspicious, too confrontational, too willing to question motives instead of debating ideas. We can do better. We must do better. No citizen should ever feel excluded because of political opinion. No village should ever feel unforgotten. No young person should ever believe that opportunity depends upon political affiliation. Dominica is strongest when every citizen believes that they have an equal stake in its future. That is the democracy our Constitution envisions. That is the democracy that we must continually strengthen. Mr. Speaker, the parliamentary opposition makes a solemn pledge to the people of Dominica. We shall continue to support measures that genuinely advance the national interest. We shall continue to scrutinize every expenditure of the public funds with diligence and integrity. We shall continue to defend democratic institutions. We shall continue to speak for those whose voices are too often unheard. We shall continue to place country above political convenience. That is our duty. That is our commitment. That is our covenant with the Dominican people. Final appeal, Mr. Speaker.
5 seconds.
In the coming days, the opposition has presented its assessment and its alternative vision. I conclude with this appeal, Mr. Speaker. Let us build a Dominica where economic growth is matched by social justice, where development is matched by accountability, and where prosperity is matched by opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House be adjourned, or suspended rather, or suspended until 3 p.m. today.
Second. It has been moved and seconded that this honorable House be suspended until 3 p.m. this afternoon. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. House stands suspended until 3 p.m. this afternoon.